Okay, for this question on the GMAT, they said two tracks are parallel. The first track has 6 checkpoints and the other has 10 checkpoints. How many ways can the 6 checkpoints of the first one be joined to the one of the 10 checkpoints of the second one to form a triangle? So one of the things I tell my students in our GMAT class is go ahead and draw something. You have to draw something, write an equation that describes the question. So I'm going to do just that. So if you take a look at what I'm going to do here, I'm going to draw 2 lines. There is a line there, and I'm going to draw another line. Okay. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and label the 6 checkpoints on one of the lines. So I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, and I actually like to do this. I'm actually going to give them numbers there. 5, and I'm going to draw numbers on the next one. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And I'm going to do the same thing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now, you may ask, well, do you really have to do that? Well, one of the things you have to understand about solving math questions is if you can use your eyes as part of the solution process, you always want to. Okay, if you don't draw something, it's a lot harder for you to start a problem, which is one of the main issues people have in starting questions for the GMAT. All right, so since we've drawn this out, these are the checkpoints, and we want to draw a triangle. Now, there are 2 possible ways your triangle could be drawn. Obviously, a triangle needs to have 3 sides. So your triangle could either go, we can either pick the head of the triangle from this first row and draw it to 2 points on the second row. Okay, it's a horrible triangle. Or you could choose a point from the second row here and draw it to 2 points on the top row. So you could either draw the triangle that way and join it that way. Okay, so what you're seeing right here is I could draw my triangle where the head of the triangle is coming from this top checkpoint to 2 points at the bottom. Or I could choose a point from the bottom, any of these 10 points at the bottom, and join it to 2 at the top. Well, when you have to kind of select from a set of choices, 1 choice or 2 choices, that's a combination rule. So let's talk about combinations for a second. So the combination formula, it's a math formula that you need on the GMAT. It pretty much says NCR. And what is that? That's pretty much says n factorial over n minus r factorial. Now a factorial, in some early videos I've done, a factorial simply means multiply down. So 5 factorial is 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. That's what a factorial is. So watch how I use my factorial here. So let's look at this first situation with the red one. Okay, in this red situation, this red triangle, we're looking at this checkpoint of 6 and we're selecting 1 point from it. So the way you write that is you have 6 options, right? 6 options that you could choose from, but you're only selecting 1. Okay, that's 6 combination 1. Okay, so for the red triangle, you're doing that. And for that same red triangle, on the bottom row here, you have 10 options, but you need to select 2 so that you can complete your triangle. So essentially, to form the red triangle, we have a 6 combination 1 that needs to be multiplied with a 10 combination 2. Okay, so that's the option for your red triangle. So let's look at the blue triangle. Now all of this has to be added to. Let's look at the blue triangle. For the blue triangle, you have a situation where the head of the triangle is at the bottom here. So we're from 10 options, we have to select 1. So the same thing, 10 combination 1 times. And for the bottom of the blue triangle, you have 6 options, but you need to select 2 to form your triangle. So there's 6 combination 2. And that's pretty much what you're doing here. Now, obviously on the GMAT, you don't have a calculator. So I am going to go ahead and try to solve these ones quickly. So using this formula here, this NCR formula, which is a combination formula, I am going to write each one of these math question sets here. So this is going to be 6 factorial over 6 minus 1 factorial 1 factorial. Now, careful, this is the number 1, okay? This is times 10 factorial over 10 combination, 10 minus 2 factorial, 2 factorial. Again, I am following this formula up here, okay? Plus, we're going to do the same thing, 10 factorial over, again, this is telling me to subtract them, 10 minus 1 factorial, 1 factorial. Okay, again, this is number 1 factorial times 6 factorial over 6 minus 2 factorial, 6 minus 2 factorial, and that's 2 factorial. Okay, so just to kind of walk through this quickly so that it doesn't take too much time, I'm just going to solve some of them. I'm not going to solve all of them. So if I look at this one, for example, actually let me do this one. I think this one has a lot more complexity. So if you look at the 10 factorial over 10 minus 2 factorial, 2 factorial, that is essentially 10 factorial over 8. 10 minus 2 is 8 factorial, 2 factorial. So if I continue this one down, what you have is you have a situation where this is, now the way you want to think about it, because if factorial means you multiply down, this is essentially 10 times 9, 10, let me use a dot, 10 times 9 times 8 factorial over the 8 factorial you already have, 2 factorial. Now, notice that I stopped this 8 factorial here because there's no point in going 8 times 7 times 6 all the way down when I already have an 8 factorial here that this 8 factorial can cancel with. So I'm going to cross that out. So that's gone. A 2 factorial is essentially 2 times 1, which is 2. So 2 will go in 10 5 times. And so this is going to give you 45 over here. Okay. Over here, just to kind of break this one down, we're going to do something very similar. This is going to end up being, just bring it down here, it's going to be 6 factorial over 5 factorial times 1 factorial, which is just 1 anyway. If I break this down some more, that ends up being 6 times 5 factorial over 5 factorial. The 5's cancel. So essentially this is 6 times 45, which is 270 there. Again, just to save some time, when you do the same factorial setup all the way here, you're going to get 150. Okay, so plus 150. So as a result, the answer to this question ends up being 420. And so the answer to this question is E. 420. So it's a factorial rule, it's a combination rule that we're using here, but you first of all have to really draw it out, really understand the checkpoints, understand how a triangle is formed, and off of that be able to look at the red triangle and what it needs to form a triangle, and the blue side on what it needs to form a triangle. And that's how you answer this question, and the answer is E, 420.